All right, now the technology department will present information about what's been occurring in their department this year. Seems like it's been so long since we've
I know.
seen you all.
I know you were missing me, so I wanted to make sure you didn't forget who I was. So, yeah, it's been another busy year. You know, here we are in January, rolling into second semester, full steam ahead. So I want to just kind of backtrack to what's happened since May, since we've been here. So to start with, we started the summer off with an idea that really I had about 3 years ago. I think I might have mentioned this, and it's growing. It's called the South Central Learning Summit. I have partnered with Diane Grimp from the RPDC, and we've hosted a conference here at Rolla Junior High with the help of Beth Jett from our food services department, helps me with all the food, and we have been able to offer a very affordable day of professional learning. You can notice here that this year we had about 150 participants, 30 schools, 40 sessions. This again was our third, and this is coming up as our third annual one on June 20th. Just a day from farthest probably that we had was maybe like West Plains. We had some from Jeff City. We had a big crew from Lebanon, Waynesville, small schools, private schools. We had made this affordable. Probably the only conference that you'll find in the state that you can do for about $30 for the day. That is your meals with some door prizes, and it is really our partnership of offering our facility. You know, and I have been to enough conferences over the years that when I've designed this, it is a meat and potatoes kind of we get in there, we learn from each other, we share, and it is a phenomenal day. And I, really take pride in showcasing Rolla Public Schools. And so you will see, this is our teachers that presented. So I had teachers from other school districts also present, but we had a good representation. So it's all this idea of us giving back, that when we started our professional development many years ago in technology, that we wanted to build our own and to give back, and this has been that opportunity for us to grow, and our teachers are learning from other schools. We're giving back, we're learning, and that's exactly, I think, what our mission was. So as we continue to grow, we're always every year looking at our PD restructuring. So I want to emphasize our three main really focused groups. We have Focus 1, which are our new teachers this year. They are in expanded training, and I'll show that matrix in a minute. We have Focus 2018, which is a group of teachers that we're just kind of trying to move their skills up, their confidence up a little bit more. We are really emphasizing all the Google app suites. Google continues to make updates pretty much monthly. So if you go 6 months without some kind of training, I can give you all kinds of new gadgets that are out there that are really making us more productive, making things easier to use. So we also have the iTeach group, which we have put in place now for about 10 years. We've got some teachers that have been in it every year for those 10 years, and they're ones that are continually giving back. And we've got some of our teachers that have been here just a year or two doing it. But our focus this year with the iTeach group was not only to have them be our beta testers for some of our tools that we're using, but Google has a certification for teachers, and I'm going to continue to talk about that. But that group has been our first test to try to get them some Google certification. So I'll come back to that point in a minute. So this is our full matrix of training this year. Due to some reevaluation that we've done, we still have core teacher training. All of our math, science, ELA, social studies in grades 2 through 12 received a full day PD day in the fall, with the morning being primarily technology related, afternoon being what their team felt like was most beneficial to them. Today, we had the high school English teachers. Yesterday, we had all the second grade teachers were with us. Second semester, we are focusing on, during the release times, we just have second grade, fourth grade, and ELA, because those are teachers that were new to having one-to-one Chromebooks in their classroom. So we wanted to give that extra support to them this year. And we've gotten really good feedback on trying to meet their needs. Every training that we do is customizable. I don't want to joke, like the little bags under my eyes, that's because I'm thinking at night what I can do to best meet the needs of that group of teachers, because it's not a canned formula that second grade's going to get the same thing that high school ELA gets, that your sped teachers are going to get. I think about that, and I want it to be an effective use of time, because we put a lot of resources into hiring subs and the devices that we use. And so it's always our goal and the goal of my team, my partners back here, Jeannie and Christopher, couldn't do it without them, of making high quality professional development. So I'm going to keep just rolling here, and you guys stop me if you have a question. But so with our training, I want to say this is probably our 5th winter, our PD blast. So this has gotten better and better every year too. And really Google has allowed us to be able to easily create an in-house PD. I think it ran quite smoothly this year. Teachers knew exactly what they'd signed up for. We auto-generated some tickets to them via Google. They went to sessions. So January 2nd, our first day back, Dr. Zales joked, really in December before I knew how cold it was, I was thinking of a new name for it, and I came up with the Winter PD Blast, and little did we know that it was going to be...
We haven't recovered since.
Yeah, I know. So I apologize if I put a jinx on that. But this year, this was just Rolla Public Schools teachers. We had 2 sessions, one at 10 o'clock, one at 11 o'clock. Everybody gathered off. It was kind of a, let's kind of get remotivated for the second semester. So you'll look, we had 42 sessions. That was our in-house. The only outside resource that we used was the Rolla Police Department did a wonderful job for teachers that signed up on internet safety. So they came in, but other than that, it was our teachers with peer-to-peer teacher learning. And great feedback from it, because they get to choose this time. You get 42 sessions to pick from. You're going to find something. And really, most people, when they saw the whole program guide that we pushed out, wanted to go to more, which leads them to, I will promote the South Central Learning Summit. That's a great way for our teachers to go to another one with it being affordable. Right here in our district, they can come. I chose June for that South Central because I thought about dates a lot, and they need a little bit of time after the end of the year to refresh. July gets them busy on thinking about, I got to get through my summer vacation, so it's really worked out for us that middle of June for us to do that one.
And I've sent these guys the schedule, so I'm glad that you put this in, because I think the community that might be watching needs to know that when we're not in session that day, that the teachers are actually working, and some of the best professional development is delivered in this format where it's our own teachers teaching teachers, using what they've learned through your efforts and then reteaching to other people. It's really remarkable to see. And so while there's a lot of numbers up there, the real work is really, I'm in awe of what you've done. So I want to publicly thank you for organizing that, and Christopher and Jeannie and Ginger and the rest of the crew. That was really, it's really good. And
it just works. People know what they're supposed to do. Yeah, we worked hard in December so that when we knew that when we went for Christmas that it was ready to go. And again, the tools that we have available to us via Google makes this as smooth as it can be. So
the teachers, while they just don't show up the day after break's over before the students come back and just hit it. They've had to plan for this during the break
presenters
and before. So kudos to them as well.
Yeah, so these are all our presenters, and we acknowledged each one of them with a little token of thanks to it. But I always try to praise them and thank them for their hard work. And they stepped up. As soon as we put out the presenter requisition that the form that we pushed out online, it was amazing, and just the different topics that we have. So kudos to all of our fantastic teachers. I honestly will say I will stand up against any school district in Missouri for what happens on our PD. I do. I hear it over and over again from teachers that go to other schools, and they don't really appreciate it until they talk to other people in other school districts, and then they go like, wow, wow, we do it right. I know a lot, we're doing it. And that's really what it's all about, going out and reaching it and providing such opportunities for our people. So I want to go back to this Google certification because you might not have heard too much about this. Google has 4 levels, well, I guess 5 with the business, but 4 levels for teachers that they can get certified. And it is a process to get certified. This weekend, on Sunday, I had a group of teachers come meet me at the high school. The test takes a little less than 3 hours to take, so it's a grueling test. We have been practicing, studying together since November. I kind of put out a pace for them. There are 13 modules for level 1 to prepare yourself for it. So I put out some modules. They were dedicated. Many of these were your presenters that you just saw. Which it's proud. Their commitment to education just puts a smile on your face and what they're doing. So we would do Google. Those who couldn't meet me after school, we tested out a new tool for a Google Meet. So it might be 8 o'clock at night, and I'd be in my basement in my computer, and they may be calling in. We've got teachers from all over, from Crocker, from Rolla, from Salem, wherever they would live. And we would do a video conference just free through Google Meet. And I would do some reviewing with them that way, or they could meet me after school. Some of them studied on their own. And this was not a requirement. It was just something, if they wanted to try it and get their Google certification. So I hope in May to bring them back here, those that are completing the whole process with the iTeach, and let you just recognize them a little bit because it really is a work in progress. And I put up here why get certified on that. Well, number one, it's just about professional growth, and they're setting kind of a leadership role in our district, because when people see them Google certified, they're going to get curious about that. You learn a whole lot about your own skills, that you can then infuse in your classroom and train other students, give them things, just the confidence that they have, and it was grueling. They were very scared to go in and take it. It was $10 for them to take this test. We all passed. We're all doing great. And, I gave them tips. All of us had given them research, gave them support. But it was our first round of Google certification. So now you can say that Rolla, if anybody asks you, Rolla Public Schools, we have about 20 plus level 1 certified teachers. So we're going to work that group. Some of them, now that they've got that first one, they could breathe after the test. They were like, okay, I think I can do level 2 now, and I want to do level 2. So we're going to help them along with that. Pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, just a couple other little things before I turn this over to Mallory. One piece of software that we purchased this year is Nearpod. We had used the free version of Nearpod for about 5 years when we first went one-to-one. It was a tool that I had been looking at, and it has just grown with the product, and I just felt like there was a need for us to purchase it. So we got to where we were limited on what we could do. So what Nearpod is a teacher can push out a lesson to their students, and what you see on the board that the teacher has, as the teacher moves to the next activity, whatever it is, it moves the kids on their screens. So the teachers basically are moving with the kids. The students can complete an interactive activity, whether it's a math problem that they do or a drawing activity, and when they hit submit, all their answers show up on the board, which is engaging. Teachers can either hide the kids' names or they can show the kids' names, depending on how they want to do it. But the student that's trying to sit in the back, trying to just be quiet and not do anything, you have to, because you can see that Tony hasn't answered. And so I can go, Tony, come on. Or I can walk back there. Tony.
Wake up. Within one of my teachers to know that.
I know. I could have. No, I feel like. So anyway, this thing has complete integration with Google. By us purchasing the licenses, we got access to all of their content. So there are professionally made by national publishers content in here with virtual field trips. Kids can go to an art gallery, and as they move their mouse, they can do a whole 3D view of it, or they can go to the Grand Canyon and do a 3D view, and that's part of the lesson that the teacher builds. It's got polls built in. Teachers can upload their own PowerPoint or Google Slideshow to it, and then add interactivity to it. So our top user was Kara Hanlon in a high school math class. We kind of recognized her at an I Teach training because we can see who's using it. You'll see we had to buy it by the number of licenses, and so we looked very carefully, so we were most effectively using our money and knew who could use it. So every second grade teacher, actually every second through sixth grade teacher has access to it, and then we kind of pick and choose for 7 through 12. PE doesn't need it necessarily in some of our classes. So as people have needed it, we've changed the licenses. Some people have decided, I'm really never going to use this after I've learned about it. Then we just kind of have traded people out. We're able to do that. But it's amazing.
So a license for a teacher?
Yeah. But that one teacher gives them access. The content alone is amazing. When I start letting them go inside and they don't have to create much, and they can edit what they find in there, but they're always adding new content. So
I went to a training class last summer, and
Nearby?
they had this as part of the...
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really neat.
Yeah, because really I could have taken tonight's presentation that you're seeing right here, and I could given you guys a code, and you could have had it on your screen in front of you, whether it's on your phone or whatever device you had, and as we scrolled forward, it would have just automatically scrolled so that you have to stay on task with me. But, there's research that says how much more engaging it is for a student to have that material right in front of them than instead of being in the back of the room and trying to focus all the way up in front. It's just they're more focused when they can read it right in front of them. So... yeah, we've had really, really good feedback with it. And so we train on it. We bring it up all the time in our training and highlight a new feature in it with our teachers. Okay, so just a few things. I always like to give you some updates on what's happening. So ELA at the high school, this was our first year to get one-to-one carts for them. So today I just had them in training, and I put a little Padlet together, and I wanted you guys to just see the impact that we're still having with our classroom. These CHROMEBOOKS have really changed how teachers teach. There is no worry anymore about updating. There is no worry about them not working. They just work. You are ready from the time the kid picks up the Chromebook for the start instruction. So I'll give you a second to kind of read a couple of those. I don't think you'll hear anyone that says, oh, you can really take my Chromebooks back. You'll never hear that. We are getting ready to release something that we wanted to do is have some checkout Chromebooks. So they're going to be going into place in the next couple weeks, really soon, to the high school library. We've been working on a policy. Ginger is going to follow up on that. But when I asked the high school teachers today that were with me what they thought about that idea, they were like, oh, they're going to be checked out every day. For our kids that need to be able to catch up on work, to be completed at home, they're going to be able to take a Chromebook home for 24 hours from the library, and they'll just check it back in just like a book. So we're going to test that out this semester.
High school classrooms, those Chromebooks stay in the classroom.
Yes. Yep. And Ginger will go into equipment here in just a minute with you. So the other place that we put Chromebooks one-to-one this year, last year we had put Chromebooks in 3rd grade. This year they're in 2nd grade. So if you want to just really put a smile on your face, go into one of our 2nd grade classrooms and just watch little 2nd graders log in to their Chromebooks. I spent some time. Christopher is our elementary instructional tech facilitator, so he's in there more regularly, but I had gone in there recently just to observe. Here it is, January, see how they're logging in. They're just pros. The teacher barely had to help any of the kids. They know, first thing, they're going to help each other, and they're so anxious to help each other. They can get logged in with our full their student number they had to learn the @ symbol, student.rala31.org. So I'm always looking for what educational value besides just them loving to play on technology. So Deborah Wilson, when I was visiting with her small group time is much more productive than traditional centers allowing same-day reinforcement of skills, which means by having those devices and the kids so engaged, she is able to give a math assignment, say, before lunch, quickly grade them, and then the kids who struggled, and right after lunch, she can call them in a small group table and not worry about, are the other kids on task doing what they need to? They know how to go to Google Classroom. They know how to go to their reinforcement websites. It just is like clockwork. And so it's kind of been able to clone that teacher when she needs to. She doesn't have the discipline trouble. The kids know to help each other. So total success. Not a complaint at all. And Nancy, I'm just going to, if you'll just click here a minute. I want you guys to just take a quick read at all the things that our second graders. Some of the teachers were a little hesitant at first about how the kids would log in, trying to teach them those skills. Well, you know what? Many of these kids have had some kind of device in their hands from the time they were very, very young, much younger than second grade. So they're not scared. And you can't really mess it up. Okay? So Nancy, you want to take me back to ours? I just want to hear some tools. So Epic is the Netflix of children's books. Our kids, it's a free tool, 25,000 ebooks. Kids love it. There's games, there's quizzes. Primarily K through 3 use this, but the kids, to watch them read these online books and engage with it. I mean, you can hear a pin drop. They are reading. They're just not reading through a physical book sometimes. Typing Club, over the years we've addressed the need for students to be able to type better. Well, there's this tool called Typing Club that integrates with Google Classroom. It is a free version that gets us as far as we need to go. So the teachers are building in time. Just now having the devices in there, they can make it even 10, 15 minutes every day. And so our teachers are doing it within their class. They have these great tools, Prodigy and Extra Math, that they're using for math reinforcement that takes the kids automatically and builds their skills. And to me, what's crazy is the amount of free, high-quality tools that are out there for us to use. Okay, so one last thing, one last little note. Jessica Titty, just her note about what the kids can do. Again, these kids creating Google Docs, creating Google Slides. You need to know about Google? Just go ask a second grader. They'll tell you about it. So if you'll give me one sample work there, Nancy. The day I was in there, it's not this report, but they were doing research on frogs, and coming up with their 10 sentences. All of them were typing their sentences in, very much worried about how they were spelling their words. Do I have this spelled correctly? Am I doing it right? So I'm going to let you keep going through that, Nancy, just a little bit. This is a little project. The kids do all their spelling words on here, whether they're typing them 5 times or they try to find an image that represents what the picture is. All kinds of activities that our kids are doing. And I asked them about mice on there. The kids are adaptable to just using their fingers on it. We need a mouse sometimes, few kids, but most of them, they just figure it out. Okay. Thank you, Nancy. So I want to turn it over at this point. We like to highlight a teacher and let them kind of give their perspective of it. So this year we have Mallory Sigler. Mallory is new to Rolla, not a new teacher. She came from a neighboring teacher. She is a SPED teacher, and we don't always get to highlight technology in our SPED department. And so Mallory's going to kind of give you an overview of the impact that these devices have had on her children. I think you'll be impressed with that. Up to you, Mallory.
All right. Hi, I'm Mallory. Hi. So it is my second year teaching. It's my first year at the Rolla School District. I did my student teaching at a school where there wasn't any, man, I'm short. Where where there was hardly any technology in their special ed department. So my first year going into teaching, I actually went to a school that was all one-on-one. So it was a huge adjustment for me. I loved using the technology with the kids, but I felt like there wasn't enough training for me to properly incorporate it into my classroom. So now coming to Rolla, there was not only enough training that allowed me to learn how to integrate the technology with my students, but also the support that I need. If I do have any questions or concerns, I know that I have those people there to back me up, and that not only helped me, but helped my students as well learn how to properly use it in the classroom. So there has been numerous programs that have helped the kids learn better within ELA and especially math. So I'm just actually, okay, so I have a lot of different levels within my classroom. I have nonverbal, there's a first grade level, third grade level, sixth grade level, and the amount of kids that I can have in my classroom at one time is 15. So meeting all those different levels is very hard coming from one person. So having that technology in my room has been helpful for me to work one-on-one with them. And then they're still working at the level that they are on. They're not just working, if there's a kiddo that's on a first grade level, they're not working at a third grade level. They are working at the level that they need to be at. My nonverbal kiddo is working with a device that is helping him speak. And it's allowing him to learn new words, and he's actually saying words right now. So that's huge too. It's amazing. So, it's helped me differentiate the material in order to meet all of the kids' needs. So before this year, the students that I have, they looked at technology more as for free time use than an instructional use. And switching from going to free time as well with instructional has helped them be more engaged in the material and has helped them kind of understand the material better, and I think it's opened a lot more doors for them. So up there is actually a graph. This is pulling it from MobyMax math. And at the beginning of the year, the kiddos started, I pre-tested them, and it was at a 1.2. And I like to use this as seeing where they were before technology, because they really haven't had tech before this year. And then I did a kind of a benchmark test in December, and they were at a 2.5. So that grew a whole almost grade and a half in just 2 quarters. So I'm pretty excited to see when May comes what they're going to test at then too. So then the next slide is actually the kiddos and what they've done. So below here, where you see them on the iPads, right now we're doing ancient Greece in our history, and that's them making their presentations. Before I got them, they didn't even know how to log into their Google Classroom. So at the top there, that video, that's a kiddo that is logging into his classroom. And I didn't have to prompt him or anything. He knew how to get on it, and right away.
All right, and get onto your Google Classroom for me, please. Nice job. High five. Oh, high five.
So he was able to go into all of our classes. That's huge for them. Knowing they're now in 7th grade and they haven't done that, and they learned that just this year. And so in my science class, we are learning about the sun and the stars. And I wanted to kind of recap the solar eclipse that happened in the beginning of the year, because that was huge, right? It was huge here. So with them kind of looking back on that, I wanted to do, now that they know more with technology, I wanted them to create an iMovie. And so this is an iMovie that a kid did in my class. So yeah, so they have increased a lot since this year. So I'm personally grateful for everything that we have now within the SPED department and how much it's increasing our students, because a lot of the time they get, I feel like, sometimes overlooked, and it has it in this district. So I'm really appreciative. So
Great.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you, Mallory. That was awesome. It's a good perspective for us to see a look into your classroom, and how encouraging too to us to know that we're on the right path with what we're doing. And your daily challenges with your instruction, that these tools have really helped. That's just that's really encouraging. Thank you. So I'll pick up now, just kind of, and I also actually wanted to thank Christopher, Brenda, and Jeannie, too. As Brenda is a wonderful spokesperson for this program, the instructional tech side of things, Christopher and Jeannie are very capable of it as well, but they are a very collaborative team. We just didn't want to be popping up and down tonight and make it a little distractive, but they are all collaborating, working together as a team to make this, as Mallory indicated, that without some of the training that we provide, a lot of these tools wouldn't be as effective. So they are a wonderful team, the three of them. So thank you guys very much, too. Just give you a little about our semester of progress. It's kind of behind the scenes. We don't always, I like to talk about the infrastructure and the equipment and things like that. I know this side of things is always, you see the warm, fuzzy videos, but I get to, so behind the scenes, we've updated the wireless infrastructure. We had a few, let me back up. At the high school, through the E-rate program that I've talked about before, we were able to update some wireless access points. We were able to purchase new ones for the addition. And some of the older ones, they really weren't that old. We haven't done the wireless that long ago. We were able to reallocate those to the elementary buildings where we had some dead spots. So, and as Brenda mentioned, with the Chrome carts, with iPad carts still, there were a few places, in the beginning when we put wireless in, we thought, they may have iPads here and there. Well, now we have devices everywhere. So we realized we had dead spots. So we were able to reallocate some equipment and deal with our wireless infrastructure. We also, through the E-rate program, we were able to do a few additions to bolster our network reliability with, we replaced some switches. We put in a centralized battery backup system upstairs. So that also helps with power consumption. So we've reduced that. And we replaced the firewall this year, all boring things to you guys, but I get pretty excited about it. So we've also, I'll switch to the next slide real quick, talk about device availability. When we were here last summer in May, you can see where we were at, and now look where we are. So we made some significant changes over the summer, and even over Christmas break, we put in some additional carts. And that far right column is the total number of Chromebooks that we have in carts. We have far more Chromebooks who are all administrators, guidance counselors. We have them in special education classrooms, but they may not be a whole cart. So these are just the ones that are in carts. Due to the cost of these devices and their affordability, we have made such an impact. It's not a $1,000 laptop that we have to purchase anymore. It's a $210 Chromebook. Now, with that comes a little bit of, we have some devices, the stability of them. The guys are really good at replacing screens now, but it's about $40 to replace a screen. But sometimes they are, you may get a year out of them, but then we may also get 3 years out of them. Just kind of depends on the location. But the battery life on these are, I had the experience of sitting, Dr. Pritchett invited me to come to the high school today, and I got to sit through all 3 lunch shifts in the principal advisory committee, and we talked technology, and a couple people brought up using laptops and how there's cords strung across the floor because they no longer hold battery charge. We don't have that with Chromebooks. So when Brenda said they really have changed the way we do things, absolutely. So we are really fortunate that we're making great strides in increasing our availability of those devices. We also have the core lecture room that has the RFP for that has gone out recently. It will be installed over spring break. That will be done, and it will be a very nice room. I'm fortunate for that funding. Thank you for the funding, the core board members to donate for that room. DocuWare, again, this might be kind of boring for you guys, but it's a pretty significant change. We still take paper, all of our permanent records, and scan them upstairs, and they go to microfilm still. Not anymore. So as of probably, we'll start that within the next month. We're going to make a conversion. It'll be cloud-based scanning. So it is still the Secretary of State's recommendation that it goes to microfilm, but we can't find anyone who will develop the microfilm cassettes anymore in a reliable manner. So this is the next phase. We're moving in that direction. We currently have DocuWare, so this is just their next version is in the cloud. And then a big change that we're ready to make, and we're really excited about this. I have a phone call tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact. Student online registration, or I call it OLR, through Infinite Campus. So this will really change the way our families register, new families in the beginning, how they register online. They'll come into a welcome center upstairs. We've changed an office space upstairs, closet. It's been a lot of different things. It's now our new welcome center. So we'll have 4 computers in there. Families will come in. They can register kiosks there. They can register online. They'll still need to come in, show proof of residency, do things like that. But for the most part, they can have it filled out online.
That's for new students?
We're going to start with new students, hopefully kindergarten registration. We're going to roll that out. So we're having our first meeting about it tomorrow. And then we're going to roll. It'll take a little while to implement. We've gone on site visits. We'll continue to do that. There are several Infinite Campus districts who are actively implementing it right now. So we'll go on a few more site visits to see what Jeff City is one of the ones that has successfully launched this. And I don't know if you know.
For like
their whole
registration?
Yeah, whole district.
Wide.
They use it district-wide. And I don't know if you know this or not, but when Mrs. Lamar retired, I was able to hire a new assistant upstairs who worked in Jeff City in the online registration in their welcome center. So we'll have a little, hopefully we'll have a little experience with Tanya helping us out with that too. So that will be great. Let's see. So, and I would like to mention that it's probably not, so we talk about online and technology is supposed to make things more convenient and maybe reduce the amount of work. This is not necessarily a reduction in workforce, but it's a redistribution of our, of the process. So it'll take probably, someone has to still approve all that and look at all that documentation that's been submitted online. Someone still has to, review that before it gets sent into the system. So it's probably just a redistribution of that, of that process. But I do hope that it'll be more convenient for our families and hopefully a lot less paper. And the big thing on the horizon for us is our technology plan. And it was really weird to type 2018 and 2022. That was odd to me. I kept calculating, did I calculate that right? Is it really going to be 2022? A 4-year plan. And this is our guideline for what we see for the next 4 years. And while we know, when I was talking to the high school students today, technology changes so rapidly that a 4-year plan, we look at it constantly and we change it, but we have to start somewhere and we have to have a guideline. So this will be our 4-year plan. It encompasses 4 groups: teachers, students, technical support, and resource distribution and use. So we'll have smaller subcommittees that will meet and form our plan. And so just some of the topics that I think that we'll cover, and it'll cover a lot more, but I just wanted to mention some of the key things. Equality and accessibility. So just like we talked about devices, a few slides ago, we still need to talk about that. We need to talk if we're going to go one-to-one or not. Is what we're doing currently sufficient, or do we need to send the devices home with the students? Talked a little bit about that with those high school students today as well. And it's funny, it was actually, Dr. Pridgett and I talked about it. First lunch group, nope. What we're doing at here, we like having them here. We know that they work, they're on, they're all here. We know that. First group was like, nope, we don't need one-to-one. Second group was second lunch shift was a little mixed. Third, absolutely send them home with us. So It's all across the board. And I feel like that's how we, as teachers and administrators, that's kind of how we are on our thought process with this too. But now is the time we've worked our hybrid model for several years now, and we need to just evaluate if that is working for us or if we're ready to go one-to-one, and all of the different issues and pros and cons that that'll bring with it. And this is really exciting. So every time I come to present, we always talk about accessibility and equality and how many students have access to the internet and how many don't, and that with the key being those who don't. So I want to remind you, let me flip this here real quick. This was just a survey that we took last year in May, and you can see it only had about 1,200 respondents. And at that point, 84% said that they had internet access. Okay, and the majority, and that bar graph there, majority are saying they're using technology outside of the school to do homework daily. Majority of them. Okay. So I've talked to some other school districts who are providing internet access to their students, and it's a socioeconomic decision. They have an application. They talk with the building principals and administration, and the school district picks up the fee for that, picks up the cost of that internet access at home. So I've been talking with Fidelity to see if they would like to partner with us in some way, just kind of get the ball rolling on that, to see if we still, with this technology plan, we're going to send out another survey, and we will survey a greater number of our students to get a real, true number of students who don't have internet access. And then based on that, I think with Fidelity's help, or, hopefully, I've been talking with Melody Glick at Fidelity, and she's been talking with the owners, and they've showed a lot of interest in this idea. Obviously, they have a lot of questions, as would we, on just the management of providing that. And what do you do for students who live in a more rural area where Fidelity doesn't reach them? So those are all questions that we need to ask, but we're going to start somewhere. Brenda mentioned also today earlier about providing checkouts. And I thought, are students really going to go upstairs to the library and check those out, or are they going to gather dust? And so at that meeting today, it was really timely today to have that meeting. I asked them, what do you think? And they all three, they did agree on this. All three lunch shifts agreed that they would definitely be checked out. So that's something we're going to start small, see how that goes. Again, we're always about piloting, right? So we're going to pilot that out, see how it goes, and if we need to add additional devices, if we need to add something to the junior high, we're ready to do that.
I missed that pie chart. Who did you survey?
Oh,
what grades?
We did K through 12. Now,
How does
kindergarten know the answer to that question, right? So I think in a technology, and I believe, Jamie, when we sent out that survey, we had a different survey for K through 4. We asked different questions than we asked 5 through 12. So it wasn't all the same survey, and we'll do that again. But again, that is kind of a difficult question. So that's not necessarily all. We maybe didn't ask a kindergartner, do you have internet access at home? But we asked them, we just wanted to give you kind of a breakdown of the respondents. So to all the questions that were asked.
I just wondered, if that could be asked through parents rather than little kids.
We certainly could send out something through School Messenger, send out a survey through School Messenger to ask that same. And it's kind of a twofold question. I found out in last year's Parents Advisory, because I asked that question, and they said, well, we have internet access at home, but I don't have access to a device. So so do you have access to something more than just a smartphone? Because sometimes it's really hard to do your homework on a smartphone. And they agreed with me on that, because I know they're addicted to their phones, but they agreed that sometimes they don't want to do homework on their phones. So it's a twofold question, and that's a good idea. Maybe we should send it to parents as well.
Well, and I just wondered, of that 16% that didn't have it from the survey, did you ask any kind of a follow-up to say why,
No, we did not.
Reason? Is it because they don't have a device, or
Maybe it's
because
a
they're in rural area,
right,
or
location of, their
or
residence.
it's financial?
I'm going to say something just a minute. Mallory, I was just asking Mallory about her group of students, how many of them don't have it. And, and something else we're seeing the shift on is some people, now how they watch TV is different. They're streaming it, so they are getting the internet access, cutting their cable bill so that they can have internet access to watch Netflix. So we're watching more and more people actually figure out a way to get internet access because of that's their tool to get their entertainment. So it's interesting to watch that shift also.
Would people, you know, the way the question is worded, do you think they make a distinction between, do I have access to the internet, do I have high-speed access?
I think that was the question that we asked, Greg, was do you have high-speed internet access at home? It wasn't do you have just internet access. It
Right,
was
so-
high-speed, and we wanted to know, you know, it's different than maybe,
Dial-up.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
And do I have access, or do those who want to watch Netflix give me access to do my homework?
That's right.
So that they don't,
Right, right, and that was a question, or it was a comment that was made last year in the parents' advisory, was that, you know, I have to find time to be able to get my mom's laptop, or I have to get on this old Windows 98 computer that's virused up, or whatever. So, you know, those are all questions that we need to ask while we're having this one-to-one conversation.
yeah, it's a tough question.
So some of the other things that the technology plan will address is we are going to redesign our website. That website has been around for a while, and it has been functional. It's been good. It's served its purpose, but it's time to redesign that. We're just going to evaluate. It's not that, now Brenda might just have collapsed when she saw this bullet point about Google Classroom as an LMS, but it's something we need to talk about. Is Google Classroom, I mean, you know, we need to talk about it. Is it right? She's a little panicked. I panicked her. So we'll talk about that. We're always just, the technology plan is just to evaluate what we're doing, and is it efficient, and is it sufficient for what we want? So we just evaluate that. Professional development, as Brenda showed you the matrix earlier, we just want to evaluate that program as well, make sure that it is effective, and how can we change it, how can we make it better. Craig, I believe right now, is in the process of looking at some cloud-based software for curriculum, student study island. So we'll look at all of our subscriptions. Do we keep Study Island? Do we keep Buckle Down? Look at our reading programs. Look at all of those and decide if they are still effective. Single sign-on. I'm not sure if you all know what that is, but single sign-on, right now, we have about, help me out, 5 different textbook. So Tanya every morning upstairs loads, and each textbook series or each textbook manufacturer has a different way that their passwords have to be loaded. So in order to log into this reading book, you might have this password. You might have one for a different math textbook. You've got a Google. You have your Infinite Campus portal. You might have Study Island. So kids are having all of these sign-ons that they have to remember passwords for. So there are tools out there that they sign on one time, and it syncs with Google. And so it sits, as long as they have a Chromebook, it sits as an extension, and they never have to log in with passwords on those, unless their passwords change. You need that, Charlotte? So we need to address that, because it's definitely a growing issue. We always want to look at security, whether that is security cameras, our access on doors, badging, things like that. We just want to evaluate those. And then, of course, we always want to look at our network equipment and the refresh of that process and the design of our network. Make sure that it's still fitting all of our needs. Oops. Okay. Sorry. So, for those of you who agreed to serve on our Technology Planning Committee, we will have our first introductory meeting here in this room on February the 22nd at 6 p.m. That's our first meeting. We will give you a link to the previous plan. We show you what group you're in and kind of just discuss the whole process. And then you'll break out into your subcommittees of one of those 4 groups that I talked about earlier. And then we will present the whole plan to you all on June the 7th. And we'll also hopefully do a little semester 2 year-end wrap-up as well. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir?
Kind of based on naivete and steeped in ignorance, but
Well, that's intriguing.
how, people there, and I know there are people out there watching who they keep hearing about the cloud,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had people ask me this, and I don't have an answer for it. How stable is this cloud? And is there any danger or potential that it dissipates, that something happens in the cloud is no longer, you can't access the cloud. I mean, is that the dumbest question you've heard today?
No, that's probably the scariest question that's been
okay.
asked today. But it is something that, Brenda was talking about, the things that keep her up at night. Security and reliability of those resources that we are now starting to turn to. That is a very good question. So I will say that some of the larger ones that we invest in, most of them now, I would say not even just the larger ones, most of the, any of the resources that we are putting our data into, Google, Infinite Campus, a lot of those things like that, they have redundancy throughout the country, or even, Google has sites outside of the country as well, so internationally. So if you lose part of a power grid here, it picks up, through virtualization, they're all using virtualization, that picks up, it's called high availability. So that information, barring any kind of catastrophic event, we have redundancy. Just your normal, technology, I always say it's magic, but it's not really magic, you know that. So if something goes down, then it has the ability, it does have the ability, they are replicating that information in other places. Now, I can't say that a catastrophic event that we would be, I'm not going on record to say that tonight, Greg. But there are safeguards in place to protect our data as well as replicate it.
And I have just a question. On the checkout policy, I guess, for the devices, what happens if they're lost or damaged?
That's a great question, too. So we have in place with that, kind of like a textbook. We're going to say it's just like a textbook. If you bring a textbook back that's damaged or you lose it, there's a fee involved with that. So if it is damaged or there's a theft that occurs, there's a tiny fee structure involved. But if there's a theft that occurs, we also require that you're going to file a police report with the student or the parents. However, so we actually have, and I can send that to you. We actually have, along with the checkout form, attached with it is a little fee structure too. If it's damaged, then there's a fee involved with that too. So we've thought about that. They're small fees, and we know that in some cases that might not be. We may not ever recoup that, but we don't want to hold back students from being able to do those things, but there is a small fee structure that we've put in place as well.
And I'm the board member representing the board on the board. We were just having a discussion about the lecture room last week's meeting, and so that will be complete over spring break?
It will. The RFP went out, so we have the RFP's gone out. The bid opening will be on February the 21st, if you'd like to come up for that. And then we will bring to you all on March 1st the recommendation to approve whichever vendor submits the best proposal. And then they have 3 weeks to order everything and get it in, and then they will be installing over spring break.
Thank you. Give that report back.
So there's potential of us getting involved in providing internet at some level to some portion of the population in the future?
Yes.
I assume that it's easy to filter what access they get through that internet?
That's a great question. So it's twofold. Not only do we put a filter on the Chromebook, it would be a Chromebook that goes home. So there's a filtering on that abides by some of the same filtering that if they were here on campus, as well as what some districts do is on the router that comes in, that gets installed by Fidelity or whoever, they lock that down to the MAC address of the Chromebook. So the only person that can attach to that device, that router, and get wireless access is the district-provided device. So it's not just anybody who wants to, your neighbors and everybody else. It's for student. Mm-hmm.
Love Netflix.
Okay. Thank you all very much for your support.
Thank you.
Thank all of you.